Portions of the following program may have been pre-recorded.
I was having a conversation with one of my friends at New Year's, actually, about, he asked me like what music I was excited for in 2024.
Mhm.
And I gave him kind of a wet fish answer of like, I don't really know. Like, I'm not really like super in tune with it. And I think that part of it is, and I told this to him too, but like, I think part of it is that hype culture around everything of like, you have to listen to this album, you have to have an opinion, and it has to be, everyone's already said it's good, everyone's already said that's bad. Right. Why does it matter that I have to do it and be a part of, like, I'll consume that media when I feel ready to partake in that, you know? Like, I've done that with multiple albums recently where, like, it comes out, I know that it did well and got rave reviews and people love it, or a lot of people hate it or whatever, and I'm just not ready for me to be a part of that discussion. Like, it feels like almost overwhelming, that hype culture of like, geez, I need to say something. I have to. Are you sure? Why me? Like,
that's huge. That was huge around like Drake.
Yeah, it's big in rap in general.
Rap in general
is like hand in hand with hype culture.
I think it's a weird culture because we'll sit here and it's a double-edged sword of, we want today's product essentially in yesterday's format. Like, no one's willing to give up Spotify. No one's going to say, hey, I'm not going to use my streaming, so I'm not going to use Spotify or Apple Music anymore. Right. I'll go back to a CD or an 8-track, right? And that's all I'm going to listen to.
Right.
No one's going to do that realistically, right? But at the same time, you'll sit here and go, yeah, I don't want to fucking stream everyone's new album as soon as it drops and get reminders and get all this stuff. I don't care as soon as it drops. I will listen to it if I want to listen to it. It's that weird double-edged sword of like, I hate having to pay for 9 streaming services, and I wish it was cable format, but I don't want to go back to cable and watch fucking commercials and not being able to fast forward parts I don't want to see or skip episodes. Because it's that weird double-edged. And I had this conversation with Gavin Michaels the other day. We did an interview and we were talking about radio. It's a lot of people don't listen to radio because, and I've explained this to different stations. What people don't understand, a lot of old radio people don't understand, is you're not competing with another station anymore. You're competing with Spotify and YouTube and Apple Music and Pandora. Like, when I worked,
the streaming services that
I worked at an oldies station for a couple of years, and I would constantly tell them, they're an online station, and I'd constantly tell them, your competition isn't the oldies FM station in town. That's not your fucking competition. Your competition is someone tuning in and going, oh, I don't like Tommy James and the Shondells. I'll go on Spotify and put on Roy Orbison.
Right.
That is your competition. That is what you need to engage with. So I had this conversation with Gavin. I explained to him, like, radio used to be where you go to find new music. It used to be you turn on the radio and here's all these new artists and these hot new songs, and hey, tell me if you like this, call in and we'll play it again, or tell me if you don't like it and we'll take it out of rotation. And that's what it used to be. But for the past 50 years, it's been radio company says, all right, these people paid us this much money, play these songs, here's the rotation, automate it. I explained to him, like, that's why I love doing this, is because it's either we reach out to someone who we hear about, or they reach out to us and say, hey, we're in Youngstown, here's our new album, could you play it?
And yes.
And that's the essence of what it is I can play, I'm looking at the screen now, I can play Zoloft from Cleveland, right? And someone in California can hear it and go, damn, that's good. I'm nowhere near Cleveland, I'm not in the Cleveland music scene, I don't know who this independent band is from Cleveland, but now I can go on Spotify and continue to follow this band from Cleveland.
And some of them blow up.
Right, yeah.
Like the Birdie Brothers.
With the Birdie Brothers have blown up like overnight.
Crazy how much they blew up just because of TikTok and Instagram audio. And just their one clip of their song, Me More Cowboy Than You.
I think about Colby Acuff all the time.
Yes.
Colby Acuff is an artist I found on Instagram 4 or 5 years ago while we were at the other station. And I was still doing Friday independent spotlights. I'd pick an artist, reach out to them, play their song, talk about it. And I met this guy on Instagram, said, hey, I do this thing on the radio. Can I play your song? I really like it. Yeah, sure, go ahead, no problem, whatever, send me the link. So we start talking to Gaz Music, played it. Dude's won like 9 CMT awards. He's this fucking big ass artist now, and like good, like he deserves it. He's making genuine good music, and we still play him on the station because he's still in contact with us.
That's sick.
Or there's like other ones that's another one that I really like being out in Arizona for is I'll find artists out there that are locally playing, like Grave Dancer, and he's blowing up too. He's been on like channels like Western AF, Gems on VHS, just like a lot of these big, like kind of like stations, like how WSRR is, where they start out small and they start out local and just like different types of music that's not commercial shit, and they just blow up because of it.
Going
And it's really cool.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Just going back really quick to you said style about like people want to use CDs and 8 tracks and vinyl, but nobody's ever really gonna commit to that bit completely, or like we as a people aren't gonna commit to that completely because of things like phones and streaming and whatever. I think it's like a situation of we are like, I feel like we were the exact mirror time as like early 2000s. Grass is greener on the other side. Like back then we were saying, wait till, this year, and music's going to be like this, and radio's going to be like this, and this is how we're going to consume this, and this is what this is going to be like. It's all going to be futuristic and awesome.
Right.
And now we're in that exact inverse of like,
damn, we had it right then.
yeah, damn, it was good back then. I wish, like, let's try to find a way to make it feel like back then.
And there's no going back.
You're right, and there's no going back. And so it's like
We've opened Pandora's box. There's no closing it.
Generationally, the grass will always be greener on the other side. And I think like maybe in 20 more or 30 more years, people will be like, damn, they had it awesome back then. Like grass is greener on the other side. Shit sucks now.
And to take a turn from you, it's always going to get faster and faster how that happens because of exponential growth.
Yeah.
Statistically, we have more in common with our parents than the next generation ever will with us.
Right.
There's already a generation that doesn't know what a VHS or a floppy disk or the family computer was.
Right.
There's generations that don't know phones didn't have screens on them that you could touch.
Crazy.
That's an insane concept.
Yeah. I think like, okay, I again don't want to sound like the Monday Night Messiah over here, but fucking like we talked about AI and AI got big.
That's
and
a
like,
bitchin' title.
That's Seth Rollins' title. Don't give him credit for that.
I made that one up.
Took that from Seth Rollins.
I made that one up. Whoa. No, I just feel like I started talking about that term exponential growth because it just it was something that I either read or saw and then like it started to click for me more, that I see it more in my day-to-day life more and more. And I feel like because we've talked about it, I just see that pattern of things in general anywhere in my life just kind of exponentially growing or getting faster or moving quicker, or it's progressing at a more rapid rate than ever before. And you always hear that about everything and you're like, when is this shit gonna, like, when are we gonna stop for a year or two and just kind of chill out?
Yeah.
Like, we've done a good job, pat ourselves on the back for 5 years and chill, Like,
it's no longer, we're no longer in the era of the VCR came out. And in 10 years, the DVD player came out. So for 10 years, we had the VCR and everything was out on it. It's the coolest thing ever. We're not in that anymore. Today we have Spotify. Tomorrow there could be a new app that does everything Spotify does plus some.
And then we like that one more. And we all decide
and we never go back.
Right.
And then Spotify's done.
Right.
And they're screwed and they're gone.
TikTok was gone for less than a day. And they picked a new app and migrated to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Mass quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it came back and they went right back.
Right.
Yeah.
It is really interesting to watch and I think that's something too, where like we're at an age where we're just starting to get a taste of seeing those patterns IRL for the first time and not be a part of the statistic.
Yeah.
We can watch it happen. We can watch it unfold in front of our eyes and understand what the older adults were talking about when they said, blah, blah, blah. Look at this, how this happens continuously.
You're saying
for
we're
these.
old.
Yeah.
Well,
I think we're getting older and like seeing the patterns that humans just consistently make.
Well, whereas in the future, like the next 2 generations, let's just say 2 generations from now, they're going to be raised with knowledge. Everybody's parents had social media. Everybody had Spotify streaming apps. They knew exactly what that was like.
Right.
And there's going to be new and improved streaming apps. There's going to be, kids are going to be a lot more knowledgeable with finding their way around tech and social media, like of how they how crazy today that kids are with like finding like crypto schemes, and they're 12 years old and they're finding crypto schemes. They're finding the VPN,
the 13-year-old Kia boys who are hacking into cars with literally a USB jump drive. Like
Watch Dogs type shit. And it's 2 generations from now, I don't even know what that's going to look like at all. Like, I don't even know what like universities are going to look like, how their grading system, because ChatGPT is destroying social medias, social medias, colleges right now.
I just read that high schools in Texas were starting to ban cell phones because they saw a 6% overall test increase, 6% increase in overall test scores for all of their students in the schools that did ban cell phones.
Really?
There's
And
colleges that ban
And I
it
was
too.
like, that's very, very interesting.
I think that's a crazy conversation. They were talking about doing that when we were in school, and they still haven't.
Well, and I think like we maybe squeaked through, but maybe not. Maybe they'll just never ban cell phones
Because
from high school
ChatGPT
because cell phones are so important.
Well, you want to talk about exponential growth and changing in eras? Are these kids now going on ChatGPT and getting test answers, right? Or what's the math one that we used to use in high school?
Photomath.
We could go to photomath, right?
Yeah.
And that was still like shaky at times.
Right.
I remember being in elementary school and texting Cha-Cha.
Cha-cha.
Yeah. Phone answers on chat. Like
25252 or something like that.
Yeah,
You could
getting
text a
answers
question,
on
they would text
Cha-Cha.
you back.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah. I
No
remember that.
smartphone, flip phone, flip it open, text 25252. Hey, what's the capital of Alabama?
Right.
They text you back.
I remember that.
That's crazy. Yeah, I never knew
Yeah.
anything about that.
Standard messaging and database may apply.
I always thought like we would be the first generation, if not one of the first generations, to like really be able to keep up with technology and the rate at which the internet's moving and like social media and all that shit. I think that we're not. I don't think that we are. I think that it's moving. Like I think that it was growing up at the same rate that we were growing
It has
up,
passed us.
and now it has passed us and gotten older than us, and we're just dumb kids.
We're going to be 70 years old in the future. We'll be looking at like what our kids or grandparents or whatever or grandkids are going to have. And you're like, what the hell is that? And it's going to be the same thing. It's like, why we had apps?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? You know, we're
Yeah. Now it's just a HUD in
think
your
now
face.
yeah,
I
HUD,
think about this is a really
a Neuralink, a Neurocaster.
Yeah, Neuralink. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Apple made that VR headset, the
Mhm.
Apple,
Vision Pro.
the Vision
Mhm.
Pro.
I haven't
They,
seen many of those since we talked about it.
I don't think they are doing well, and I don't think that they're producing them anymore.
So we could get a cheap one, is what you're saying.
potentially,
Okay.
but they previewed one of the things that they previewed was you could take a picture in the headset and like scan the whole room, and then put that headset on again or like log into that account and be able to walk around that room essentially and like
Yeah.
be in that moment. I think about what it's going to be like when we're old and our kids try to show us what they call pictures, what they define as
Yeah.
pictures, because I feel like they won't be what we define as pictures, which is like a physical 2D laminated
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
that is a
How long before a physical photo is like ancient tech?
right. Like I feel like it's going to be a situation of they put us in situation like it's going to be we put on the headset and we're looking at a younger version of ourselves in a room and we can like walk around and
Yeah,
see the
yeah.
details of the room, and that's going to be very
We're,
jarring to me.
we're going to experience, if we haven't already, more and more of the old people of like, oh, that's not a thing that exists anymore.
Yeah.
I thought of it the other day. You guys had film cameras at your wedding, disposable
Yeah.
cameras.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a great idea. I want to do the same thing. And then I started to think, oh, well, you could just go into any Walmart and get film developed. Can you? Can you still get film developed at a Walmart or a CVS?
You
Like,
can go to CVS and do it.
Can you?
Yeah.
and like that was a thought I have. Like,
Yeah.
there's probably a lot of places that don't do this anymore. Whereas 20 years ago, you can walk into any store and they develop your film. You come back in an hour.
So
Or
just,
like vinyls. Look how expensive vinyls are now
Yeah.
for album as compared to then. I mean,
dispo-
$30 for vinyl now. Like,
disposables are actually not hard to find, but like they're definitely not as you have to like go to
Yeah.
the niche section
and they're
and-
expensive.
yeah, they're super expensive.
Are they?
too. Yeah, it's like
Yes.
$10 for one.
Really?
No,
Yeah.
we could go to Walgreens. They're like 50.
Are you
Oh,
kidding
really?
me?
No, I pay like 10, 11, 13.
They're
I was gonna
not-
say, I remember the last time I remember fucking seeing a disposable camera. I was probably
Mhm.
like 8 years old.
Mhm.
The last time I remember physically like acknowledging a tribal chief, acknowledging a disposable camera in the store. It was like $2,
No.
$2.35, something like,
Like
that.
10.
Or
That's
Polaroids are
crazy.
so
Yeah.
expensive. Their
Yeah.
film is a crazy expensive. Just a little
Vintage
shitty
core is a
Polaroid
weird fucking thing too.
Yeah, and that's always going to be a thing, vintage core. But
Yeah.
that's going to be getting again it's going to go with the times. Like the
Yeah.
vintage core is going to be an iPhone in 2050.
I
It's gonna
remember,
be this.
I'm ready for
holding.
vintage core of early 2000s. Give me the translucent technology. I'm
Yeah.
ready for it. I
Yeah.
will
Dude,
redo this
look
entire
up-
studio in it.
Look up Frutiger Aero.
You're
and
gonna
it's-
have to spell that one for me, Chief.
And it's
F-
got the same vibe, but it's got the modern tech, just with the old school look.
Fruiteger. Frutiger.
Got it.
Yeah. Frutiger Aero. That's what you're talking about, like the Fiji
Oh,
bottle.
that's like the style.
Yeah,
And
they named the. I think that is something that's interesting to me now. Is like aesthetics being popular as opposed to like
I hate that term now.
well, I mean that's the truth.
No, it is, but I just hate people using the aesthetics are immaculate.
But like,
Bro,
The
just say you
vibes.
like my room.
the vibes,
but like that's what you call that. You can call it a vibe
yeah, I
or
the
but, like,
theme.
the theme.
You're right. I'm just saying I don't like it.
No, I don't love it either. But like that's just what people call like.
No, I don't mind it as much.
It's interesting that people do that so much so that we can have an opinion of like, I
Yeah.
don't like that people say aesthetic because people create them now. And
Yeah.
things like Frutiger
Mhm.
Aero becomes an aesthetic.
I'm never gonna forget that now. Frutiger Aero is like for anyone who doesn't know, it's like the bubbly early 2000s aesthetic. A
Yeah.
lot of underwater
Oh,
influence.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool. And going back to what we were talking about with
Sorry.
the
Sorry. Yeah.
No, dude, going back to what you were talking about with the like the Apple Pro Vision that you're able to walk around in like your own
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a book that I just recently read that really it's fucked me up. It's a graphic novel and it's this right here. It's called The Electric State, and I just saw it in the graphic novel section in Barnes and Noble, and it's
Mhm.
written by this Swedish author. And dude, I'm talking like it's a longer one. Like there's a whole story related to it and everything. And Netflix is going to make a movie on it soon, and it's going to be
Oh.
ass. I already know it's going to be ass, or it's a show. But it's pretty much like one of those it's not post-apocalyptic, but it's a post-war thing
Yeah.
where there's this like this whole society that's the majority of them are controlled by these giant hive minds of people that use these neurocasters, which is just like the Apple Pro Vision.
Mm.
And they just put it on their heads and they put themselves in this kind of world, and it's disgusting in like every way, and it makes the main character who doesn't use it feel like lonely and isolated. The whole world's all the artist who illustrates is incredible. Shout out to The Electric State. Everybody read that book. It's
What
so
is it?
cool. The Electric State.
The Electric State.
The Electric State. It's just incredible graphic novel. It's very Fallout-esque in a way.
Not to merge too many topics here
No.
or to go off on a tangent. You saying that and the conversation we had about ebooks and stuff in audio dramas, if we could get the rights, and it's just me spitballing while we're talking on air, off air. If we could get the rights to like books or the approval of the author's books and like do a radio drama that's just an ebook essentially, like you
Based
sit
off
there,
of it.
well, no, not even based off it. Like literally just
It isn't?
produce that, make an audiobook, but add the production to it.
Yeah.
And like as long as we had the authors okay, imagine doing a show. It's like, hey, 11 p.m. on weeknights. Tune in for
Chapter 3 or
yeah, you do
Yeah.
in chapters, I guess.
Yeah.
But like
Tune into chapter 4.
yeah, and then you could have like
blah blah blah.
yeah, you'd have like seasons essentially. Like season 1 is Brave New World.
Yeah.
Season 1, chapter 1, and it's
Right.
just chapters for the whole book. You just produce it as a show.
That'd be very interesting.
I think that
that'd
would
be a cool
I think
show.
that would be I think more people would get into books
Yes.
and audiobooks because of that, as long as it had that, that background noise and stuff
Yeah.
that we were talking about. You turn a book into an audio show,
yeah.
but it follows it.
Yeah, it's
like
just
part-
it's literally just the book.
It's the
Right.
book, but it's just the noises in the background. I think that would do really well because audio shows are exploding right now.
If you're an author and you'd be
Um,
interested in that, 216-859-8699. That's
Yeah.
a very feasible thing.
we would
Yeah,
love
we
to read
can-
your books.
yeah, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
We may not have the perfect narrating voices, but we'll put some cool shit behind it.
Yeah.
My voice is perfect.
We'll get
that is true.
We'll get Jake to
Yeah.
stop
That's
touring
fair.
with Striper and give his little Ford
Get the voiceover guy.
Chevy Truck Month radio voice.
It's also known as Web 2.0, by the way.
Frutiger Aero. That is so cool. That
Yeah.
How did you remember that off the top of your head?
he's on it, dude.
I saw somebody, I think legitimately, I saw like a YouTube essay of somebody talking about aesthetics, and
Mhm.
Frutiger Aero was mentioned. Because I think it's very interesting that young people now more assign themselves to a full aesthetic. And I guess
Yeah.
it's like what goth and like emo and scene people have always done. But
As,
like,
as a retired emo, I resent that.
but like there are definitely people who just put themselves in an aesthetic now. And I think that there are more aesthetics than there were before.
Yeah,
Because of young people being like, I like the way that a Fiji bottle looked.
This is more what I'm talking about. Y2K futurism, it's called.
it's also the
It's that weird science fucking core of the early 2000s, like a Radiohead album.
So cool. But it's also
Like
I
the
mean,
Matrix.
with the newer generations too, and they're on social media so much, it causes that ADHD and that ADD to just like go through even more because of the instant gratification they get. I mean, it's the what's it called? The not instant gratification. The I can't think of the word right now. A sensory
The
shit
serotonin
is
they
all
get
the
for it?
serotonin is always going off.
Serotonin dump.
Instant
And, yeah,
gratification.
Yeah, and just it's everything's sensory, and it's just like I like that. That's a cool vibe. 3 seconds later, that's a cooler vibe. 3
Yeah.
seconds later, I like
Yeah.
that vibe. I do that
Yeah.
shit all the time. When I'm on YouTube, I'll get these random playlists recommended to me, and it's just the cover of it. I know it's AI, and I know that the photo of it's AI, but the vibe of it's really cool, and I'm like, that's a cool photo, and I don't even listen to it most of the time. I'll save that for later,
Yeah.
and then like.
Evan, I know for a fact you do that because you'll go through 3-week spans of the hardest fandom of anything,
Yeah,
and then it's another thing.
yeah.
You will talk to me about Star Wars every day, 12 hours for 3 weeks, and then the next week it's sea shanties.
Yeah, like there's this one channel that I listen to, and there's multiple. There's one that's just called Hyperdrive Sound, and it's just these AI playlists of just these like aliens, and it's just these vibes, and it's all like funky and groovy stuff.
Huh. Is
And
it real music or is it
Huh.
AI
I
music?
think it's AI music, but
Oh.
and I mean it's wild because it's just
Interesting.
grooving. There's no. Yeah,
Groove
it's all
is
yeah,
in the
it's all
heart.
AI music, but I mean some of it it's just I'll turn it on just for the vibes, and I mean a lot of times I don't. I'm just like, ugh. I mean, I'll save it for later, but I always forget about it.
Looking at, I don't want to use the word aesthetic. Looking at old core, looking at old 2000s core, looking at
Old
That's
core.
straight out of a Queen song right there. Is that one?
looking at old core like this, like Y2K futurism and stuff. It almost gives me. We did the videos by Float. That's like liminal spaces, vaguely familiar places you've never been, accompanied by
Yeah.
terrifying music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing. Like it really is like such a window to another time.
Did you see someone
Mhm.
found where the back rooms are?
Yes,
And it's
Yes.
just like
it's an office building.
it's like a before picture of a before and after of an office building
Yeah.
or something like that before like a renovation.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
finding the back rooms is a crazy
Yeah.
fucking concept.
And
How do you pull that?
Stumbling across it.
Hey, I found the back rooms, by the way.
Okay,
And
well,
the way they blow up too,
Yeah.
like it's just some random like niche like Swedish or like Russian video that just
Yeah.
randomly comes in people's recommendations, and then boom, it's a whole community behind it.
well, not to beat a dead horse, but the Shrek test footage that had
Yeah.
been missing for fucking decades and decades and decades, and there's the search party for it, right? And it probably doesn't exist, and we'll never see it. It was literally on the open internet on some
just-
guy's
yeah.
demo reel,
Sitting on someone's demo that was like meant to be. I mean, it was old,
but it was meant to be seen.
it was meant to be seen. Like people were supposed to
Yeah.
find it.
The whole
and
point of the
nobody-
demo reel is to watch it.
to show people, hey, this is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
Hire me. And
Yeah.
nobody found it for years.
Yeah.
People were searching for it. It's that is
So
a
like
crazy
the back
thing, man.
room is like that's something that no one knew what it was. It's this mystery thing. This can't be a real place, right?
Right.
And I'm sure the dude found is like, oh yeah, no, here's before and after pictures from this building's construction that's probably on the open internet.
Right.
I think that's such a crazy like
I found, and this is kind of sidestepping, but kind
for
of the
some reason
same.
that's eerie to me.
There was a painting of the Mona Lisa that was like much higher quality in the picture, and like the colors were way more in depth. And it was by a student that was studying Van Gogh during like while he was painting the Mona Lisa. And so there's different details, and like the student's Mona Lisa has like eyebrows where
The
the
Mona
real-
Lisa's not Van Gogh.
It's not who is it?
It's
I
Da
forget.
Vinci.
Da Vinci.
Da
I think
Vinci.
it's Da Vinci.
Da Vinci. What? Da Vinci.
Da
My
Vinci?
bad.
Yeah.
Da Vinci. Yeah, wrong artist. My bad. But
Yeah,
it's interesting that there are two versions of it, and like the way that I found it was someone said, "Oh, they found this painting in 2013 that was discovered." Blah blah blah, and then you read into it, and it was just sitting in an art museum for years, and like some French art museum, and nobody talked about it. Nobody was like, "Hey, this looks exactly like the
Right.
Mona Lisa. Like, isn't there anything?" Isn't that interesting when we talk about that? And now it's getting that kick up of
Yeah.
like, oh wait, this is the same thing, but was just by a student, and
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the amount of things that will never be seen that are publicly accessible on the open internet that you literally could see at any time
Right.
that will never be seen is like you literally can't count it.
The preceding program was a WSRR radio production.